If you're like me and spend a lot of time at your desk, whether it's for your full-time job or a side hustle, you know how important it is to have a setup that works for both, especially if you don't have a ton of space to separate the two. And as you can see, I live in a tiny studio apartment, so after a lot of trial and error method, I think I have finally nailed a workspace that works seamlessly for both for my job and my YouTube channel as well. But one thing that stays consistent for both the setups is the desk itself. So this desk was sent to me by Vernal, and they're also kind enough to sponsor this video. I tested quite a few standing desks before, and I'll be honest, most of them look the part. But they all missed this small detail, which Vernal on the other hand really took time to think through all of that stuff that actually matters. And one of the biggest thing is the customization, because it's really important when it comes to choosing the right desk for you. And when I say that, I mean customizing the desk exactly how you want it. And Vernal gives you a ton of options to choose from. So you can go with the dark wood, or if you like fully white option, or the one I have, which is the natural bamboo. And I feel like that choice really depends on your setup, your room's natural lighting, and even your own personality, because it actually makes a big difference in how productive you are and how focused you feel at your desk. So let's quickly go through some of the key features of this desk. And first off is the stability, because this thing doesn't wobble. So even at the full standing height, the desk itself doesn't really move a lot. And as you can see, even if I shake or if you make like an accident bumps to it, you don't get that huge wobble that you usually get in like cheaper desks. And that's actually a big deal, especially when you have two setups like me, where sometimes you have to type a lot of things, and if the desk wobbles, it doesn't really, make everything easier. Unless if you're shooting just like how I'm doing right now, and you have camera attached to the desk itself, you don't really need any kind of wobble or camera shake in your shot, especially when you're doing something like this where you're just talking to the camera. It's really strong too, because the weight capacity of this desk is 160 kilograms, which is a lot. And just to clarify, that's the rated weight, not the static or in theory load that most brands throw on their spec sheets, because this thing is built to actually move that much weight while staying smooth and stable. And as you can see, even after having all the items on my desk, such as my Apple Studio display, my keyboard, monitor, desk shelf, and even myself including, this desk is doing amazing job at going up and down smoothly without any problems. And that really shows the premium quality of any Vernal desk. Now in terms of accessories, I went with a couple that just fits with what I work. And first off is the desk shelf. And what it does is pretty much raises my monitor to my eye level, so I'm not straining my neck. And underneath, I can just slide my Mac Mini and my hard drives and just other things that I want to use it on daily basis, such as my notebooks or whatever I'm using that day. And the second accessory is this keyboard drawer, which is honestly a game changer for me, at least when I'm switching from work mode to my YouTube setup, where I just want a lot of clean space so I can shoot the product from the top down and just showcase all the product without having to worry about proper space. And installing this desk was also super easy and quick, because Vernal includes pre-installed nuts in the desktop itself, so you don't really have to drill anything from scratch or measure or guess. You can just screw it and you're pretty much done. And for myself, it kind of took me about like 15 to 30 minutes top to get this whole thing set up. Now in terms of height adjustments, let's talk about the keypad that they have. It fits right against the edge of the desk, so you're not accidentally bumping it while you're working on it. And you can save up to 3 height presets for yourself. And I have mine, one for the sitting and standing, and then one for just filming. They also added few extra smart features that I did not expect it, like high and low limit settings, so you can control how far up or down the desk goes, and depending on your space. And let's say if you have kids at home and they just love to push all the buttons, then they also have a child lock where you can just lock your desk at certain height, and any button, no matter what they press, it's not going to change that easily. And for my fellow cable management nerds out there, it comes with an integrated cable tray underneath, so it's super easy to route everything neatly, and it just makes a huge difference as well, because keeping your setup clean and clutter-free also adds to your productivity as well. Now let's talk about my 9 to 5 setup. I mostly work from home in a hybrid role, and sometimes I also need both, like my Mac and Windows machine. So for the Mac, I'm currently using my M4 Mac Mini with the 512GB of storage and 24GB of RAM, which is kind of plenty for what I need. And on the Windows side, I have got ROG Zephyrus M16, which handles heavier workflows like my Unreal Engine or any kind of 3D workflow that I do on my 9 to 5 job. And I connect both of them using this one USB-C cable that just runs to my Apple Studio display, which is the centerpiece of this desk. And you may ask, why are you still using one display in 2025? Because I just found myself having multiple monitors be too distracting. And Studio Display gives me great color accuracy, solid brightness, even has a built-in speakers and webcam. So less clutter, fewer cables, that's what I want. The monitor sits on the desk shelf as I mentioned before, which also acts as a storage underneath because I've got this Mac Mini tucked in perfectly, and on the other side I keep my Rode Streamer X, and I'll talk more about that later in the 5 to 9 section. For the keyboard, I keep rotating my keyboards a lot, but recently I've been loving this Newfie Air 75. It's got that fun retro Nintendo look with its like colorful keys, and it just works great with like my both computers like my Mac and Windows. And for the mouse, I'm using Logitech MX Master 3S, and you probably have heard of this mouse a whole lot because it's reliable, ergonomic, and works flawlessly. And that's all you need to know because you know everything about this mouse at this point. Logitech, please release MX Master 4. And as for my choice for chair, I went with Herman Miller Embody, and it's definitely a premium option, but it's totally worth it if you sit for long hours because it's super comfortable and it's built to last. Now, to add a little life to my space, I keep few plants around as well, like this small snake plant. They just bring more calm and earthy vibe that just makes my space feel more like home. And I also use my iPad. Currently, I'm using the iPad A16 as a secondary display where I mostly keep my Slack open or watch more content while I'm working or just do a Zoom call during my work time. And the stand it is on currently, I actually printed that by myself using my new Bamboo Lab A1 Mini 3D printer, and I'll make a dedicated video about that printer if you're into something like that, so subscribe if you want to watch that content. Now let's talk about my 5 to 9 setup, which is for my YouTube. Now for the filming, I use this C-stand to hold my main key light and my other accessories such as like overhead camera mount. Now the main camera is mounted with the magic arm, so I can angle it exactly how I want. Now to monitor all of my shots, I use my iPad again that runs the Monitor Plus app, and it kind of acts as my wireless external monitor, so I can pretty much quickly check my framing, lighting, and focus right from the app. No wires needed. And next to that, I have the Rode Streamer X tucked underneath, which is hooked up to my Shure SM7B mic. That runs the audio directly into my Sony a7S III, my main camera, without having to sync the audio in the post-production. And if you're wondering how that works, here's the trick. I found this cable, and I'll link it below so you can find it out for yourself. That plugs in into my headphone jack on the Streamer X, and the other part goes straight into the camera's mic input, which is a 3.5mm, and that lets me record my mic audio directly into my camera. It's been flawless ever since, so you can pretty much use Streamer X or pretty much any kind of USB-C interface, and especially if you have a Shure SM7B mic, then I would highly recommend to get like a fathead or some kind of preamp that just makes the audio signal much clearer. Now this mic is mounted on my Elgato mic arm, which I can just tuck away during my workday and whenever I don't need it, and bring it back out easily whenever I want to start recording. And sometimes I also use my Apple Studio display to just open up all the main bullet points if I want to just quickly read out and make sure I'm staying on the point. Now a lot of other times I also use this Elgato teleprompter that I picked up to maintain the eye contact while I'm reading script straight to the camera, because sometimes when I have information that is hard to remember, I want something that I can just see through directly and straight talk to you guys without losing the eye contact. And for my main key light, I'm using this small rig RC120D. It's a daylight version with 5600 Kelvin fixed temperature, and I paired it with this Lantern softbox that kind of gives me that clean, even glow. And even when I use this test setup not to record anything, it still gives me a really even soft light, and it just makes the whole setup look really good. So that's my dual purpose setup, one desk that handles both my full-time work and my content creation workflow. Now if you already have a similar multi-purpose setup like I have, let me know how you guys use yours, and drop any kind of tips in the comments if you think I could do something better. Now everything I talked about in this video is going to be linked below in the description, so you can check it out for yourself. And if you're interested in this desk, I also have a discount code which is YTZ, and that is going to give you 6% off on your desk purchase. And if you enjoyed this video, give a like and share, and also check out these other videos that I think you will also enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.